Mayor Akinjo, Mayor Aviola,
Present.
Councilmember Craig Hensley,
Here.
Supervisor Dollywall,
Present.
Supervisor Ding, Councilmember Enriquez,
Present.
Mayor Fugazi,
Present.
Councilmember Ponce,
Present.
Supervisor Rickman,
Here.
Mayor Singh,
Here.
Councilmember Stroman, Mayor Sue, Councilmember Zuber,
Here.
Margaret Stevens, Derek Graves, Caleb Brock.
Present.
We have a quorum, Chair.
Wonderful. At this time, we'll go to item 2, which is recognitions and presentations. We have a presentation, Zero Emissions Vehicle Readiness Award to SJCOG. And Kim, is it Vey?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to invite Garrett Jensen, and Kim Vey is here, but Garrett Jensen is a board member of the California New Motor Vehicle Board. Mr. Jensen, if you want to walk up to the podium and share remarks about this exciting award that you're giving to the San Joaquin Council of Governments.
Absolutely. Thank you, SJCOG, for having us. And it's always good to start a meeting with an award. So my name is Garrett Jensen. I'm a board member on the New Motor Vehicle Board. And yes, Kim Vey, Assistant Director with the New Motor Vehicle Board, is here as well. Before I opened my brief comments, I just wanted to say I came down early from Sacramento just to walk around and was really thrilled to see some of the changes and things that are happening in this downtown core. Bollards, leading pedestrian interval, no turn on red, slow speeds, people walking, green thermoplastic, things that we're seeing with real success, not in just California, but around the world. So thank you for having us. My name is Garrett Jensen, and it's my pleasure to recognize the San Joaquin Council of Governments as a ZEV, Zero Emission Vehicle Readiness Award recipient. As a board under the California Transportation Agency, or CalSTA, we launched this award to support the agency's core 4 priorities. They aim to improve lives of all people. Those core 4 are safety, always, number 1, equity, climate action, and economic prosperity. With half of all greenhouse gas emissions in California coming from the transportation sector, obviously this is unacceptable, and why we encourage action for a cleaner future for all Californians, regardless of where they live in our great state. So serving over 800,000 residents, you have demonstrated what it truly means to fight climate change and reduce harm to Californians, and have embedded equity and innovation into decision-making and infrastructure development for the transition to zero-emission vehicles. This work, of course, is not easy, as you know, and rarely gets the spotlight it deserves. So thank you for what you're doing. But your council's expertise, effort, and commitment keep this work moving forward nonetheless. And behind every charging station, every grant, every policy adopted, your dedication and countless hours of collaboration, problem solving, and persistence, big focus on that, to implement community-driven solutions is worth mentioning, worth recognizing. You listened to residents and advocates and had staff, thank you staff, who transformed those ideas into action. This is clear in your work with the Stockton Mobility Collective, who you stated was truly the catalyst for your ZEV readiness efforts. So working together with stakeholders and residents, government agencies and transportation providers, you address mobility challenges and improved accessibility to clean transportation options for the community, something we desperately need. You prioritize access in underserved areas and kept affordability and usability at the forefront by engaging community members as partners. And in doing so, you have made the transition to zero-emission transportation cleaner and more just. And finally, you have also demonstrated a successful partnership with MioCar by offering members affordable short-term rental rates and providing them with a critical resource to reach destinations that are not currently feasible by public transit. And on behalf of the New Motor Vehicle Board, thank you for your leadership, your persistence, and your commitment to combating climate change and reducing harm to all Californians by making the San Joaquin Valley ZEV ready. So congratulations on this recognition, and be happy to present you your award and your certificate. Thank you.
We're really honored to receive this award. Chair Fugazi, can you come on down? And I'd like to invite Kim Anderson and Christine Corrales up to the podium, because they were the muscle as well as the rest of the team behind this award.
on some that side with the board behind it.
I'm gonna come to, I'm not full of. Thank you.
Darn it. Okay, at this time, we are going to move to public comment. Public comment is for non-agendized items that are still within the purview of this agency. We have a 5-minute time limit tonight, and I would like to invite up our first speaker, which is the CEO for RTD, and we have Mr. Beasley.
How you doing? I'm the CEO, the new CEO of RTD, and everybody's been asking me, will you guys give us a briefing of what's going on over there? Well, I'm gonna give you a briefing today. What's going on over there? We're gonna start at the top. I get I get questions of why are all the buses running? There's nobody on them. Do you know that? Of course we know that. You heard it from right here for us. We're trying to find out why. Why did he do that? We don't know why they did that. That's in the mind of another person why they did that. But we're going to find out why it's doing that, and we're trying to stop that. So we do know that there's buses running around and not very many people on there. We're very aware of that, but we just can't stop the rain when God told it to rain. You know what I mean? So we got to make sure we do it and put everything in an audit perspective, so we can put everything to you in a written format. So, but I'm getting bombarded with, why don't you tell us why? So those are one of the things. We do know that it's doing that, and we're trying to stop that, to save the taxpayers' money. We know that it's running around there with nobody there on a lot of them. Also, they say, what happened to the $60 million? We get a guy that comes in there. What happened to that $60 million in reserve? Well, here's what happened to this, not the official version. This is what I see. I see that there was a budget made by someone or the previous administration, and they start spending on that budget. Then they petitioned COG for some money, which we didn't qualify based on what I see. We didn't qualify for that money. So from my understanding, it was turned down. The money was turned down, but the money was spent. So now we got to go spend that $60 million out of the reserve. So this is probably my version, but there will be an official version coming out from an auditor to find out what happened to that money. So we get people thinking that COG owes them some money. COG don't know anybody any money. We didn't qualify for the money, and that's just the official version of it. There's a qualification that has to be applied for, and we just didn't qualify for it. Very few people qualify for anything with $60 million in the bank, so we just didn't qualify based on those qualifications. That didn't mean that we couldn't apply a different way and still qualify. We probably could have done that, but the way we submitted the paperwork, we just didn't qualify for it. No different if you was applying for something. If you apply the wrong way, you just didn't qualify. So this is one of the reasons why that didn't happen, and what happened. Maybe we're going to get the official version of what happened to why RTD spent that money and why we keep spending on the reserves. And why you keep spending the reserve, because we spent money that we didn't have. We call that an unfunded budget. So we just had an unfunded budget that we thought we was getting the money and just didn't get it. That's my version. But I'm going to get the official version as soon as the audit is done. I get this one all the time. Man, what happened to them buses? Before I got hired, I guess I saw you guys had the CEO out there. Everybody stopped the buses, couldn't get to work, couldn't get nowhere. What happened to that? Well, we found that out too. And I'm going to read what went out to the drivers so you can know what happened. It said, "Dear SLT, today may be an important and significant turning point in our organization. As such, every employee in the organization may be impacted by decisions made at the special board meeting today." We call that in Arkansas fear month. But it goes on to other stuff. If employees choose to attend, they can attend all the way to the meeting conclusion without fear of being disciplined. This is an important day for all of us. That's fair money. So when you look at it and you say, well, that sounds like somebody orchestrated that. Well, that's your opinion. But bus drivers didn't do that on their own. Something was sent out to activate that. So I want to clear it up for the bus drivers that bus drivers, they're professionals and they drove based on the way they are acted or responded to drive. If they're given instructions to do something else, we do those things too. So I want to clear that up for for the union. They did nothing wrong. They responded to something that went out, and that went out, and that's the way they responded to that. So a lot of people say, well, they stopped people from getting. Those are the instructions that came down from that. But I saw that it was portrayed another way. But based on what I see, it wasn't that way. They was instructed to be somewhere, and they could be there. So they were there. Who instructed it? That's for you guys to find out. But that's what happened with that. I also want to put out that I've started working with
Mr. Beasley,
yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can we add one more minute to your time so you'll have a total of 6 minutes?
Yes, I'll be brief.
Okay, thank you.
Real fast. We've also started working with all the cities. We told all the cities we won't go after that the funding that you guys do to run your projects. We're not going to go out the federal funding for that. I didn't think it's fair, so we did a split that was fair to everybody. There'll be no more backdoor rooms deals. We're not doing any more of that. Those days are over. We're not going to sit in the back and create anything for RTD. In the past, I see that we get all the money and leave you holding things that you need to do. Those days are over with. We're going to be evenly split amongst the cities, and we're going to sit down and collectively go over things to make sure it's fair for everybody. And we did that if you look at the new UZA. We split things based on what we sit down with all the cities. We have a good collaborative meeting, and we're going to do that every year. The rail, we made a good accomplishment for the rail, and the rail is doing fine now, and we're going to continue to do fine with that. I'm out of time, but somebody's going to have to drag me off from here. Hold on. Look at it. We also have a budget. You hit the gavel. We also have an audit going. We got 3 different audits going to make sure we find out all of these things that I'm saying. We have an independent audit, a state audit, a federal audit, FTA audit. All these audits are going on right now today that I've called these special audits to make sure that we get to the end and the facts of what's happening in RTD, and you'll get those things. Next up, I hope I have my CPA coming to give a more in-depth of what we're doing in those audits. I'm sorry I went over the time by 42 minutes, but I'll send you 42 seconds. Back to you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Monica Houston. And he took away some of your time. I'm joking.
Thank you so much. My name is Monica Houston. I'm an independent CPA that has been hired to assist RTD in their financial recovery effort and the audit preparedness. So I just want to take a few minutes of your time today. Thank you so much for the opportunity to just bring you an update on the progress of the recovery efforts as well as the independent audits that are currently underway. As many of you know, RTD suffered a cyber incident several years ago that resulted in the loss of its financial systems. They have since been trying to recover their financial records, and they've been focused on restoring complete and reliable, and I'm going to say that again, complete and reliable financial records that can withstand the scrutiny of independent auditors, regulatory agencies, and most importantly, the general public. So many people have asked, why has it taken so long for this recovery to occur? And it's a fair question. Hopefully I can shed some light on that today. When RTD suffered the cyber attack, they lost their financial records, but they didn't lose the underlying support and documentation, which includes their invoices, payroll records, grant documentation, contracts, and bank records. All of that remained available. However, restoring a accurate and reliable accounting system is more than just inputting revenues and expenses into a spreadsheet. Much, much more. So it takes much more time. While RTD was recovering, they put into place interim processes that would allow them to continue operating and to meet day-to-day financial obligations, but it was not their normal accounting processes and procedures. What they simply put into place was a system that would capture the cash activity of what was happening and allow them to operate and perform and provide the services that were needed to continue operations. They did not continue their normal monthly close processes because they did not have a financial system in place. What happens when you don't have a normal close process with financial activities such as reconciliations, accruals, grant accounting, capital asset accounting, liability accounting, and other financial close procedures? Is you get just documents that can tell you what your cash flow is, but not where you stand financially in other areas. Consequently, the amount of financial records that needed to be recovered continued to grow. And when we started doing the recovery, the time period of the recovery extended beyond the initial cyber attack. So there was more to recover than just that period. Today, good news. We are approaching a milestone. We have done significant recovery efforts. We are currently very, very close, like within days, of obtaining the trial balance, the 2024 trial balance. The trial balance is a necessary foundational document that is needed to prepare the financial statements. It's also the document in which the independent audit relies. So that is totally necessary, and we are there. We're almost there. At the same time, there are independent oversight audits, which he referred to, being done. Those independent audits continue. The Federal Transit Administration's triennial review is entering its reporting phase. They shared with us only six, thank God, preliminary findings. 5 of those were related to the operation of the financial cyber attack, related to the cyber attack. So again, we are moving forward. Additionally, as he has said, the forensic audit is progressing. They have finished the first segment of that process. That segment they're looking at the funding and related financial data, and they will be reporting on that within 2 weeks. They will then subsequently continue with the 4 phases. There's 4 phases to that audit. So they'll continue with that first phase and move on to the third phases. The independent audit has commenced. The auditors will be on site next week. So we will have the 2024 audit done as soon as they can get it done. So we are making measurable processes. I'd just like to say that RTD has taken some very significant strides in meeting the reporting objectives and responsibilities that have been entrusted to them. Management and the board understands the importance of restoring the public confidence in RTD's financial reporting process. They know that that confidence will not come by promises alone. It will come through transparency. It will come through independent verification, and it will also come through committed accountability. I am here today simply to affirm management's commitment to all of those things.
Thank you. That concludes public comment. So we're moving on to the consent calendar. Are there any items? Yes, go ahead, Lisa.
I just wanted to just pull for comment and question item 4P. I'm very pleased to see the local preference. I think this is something that all of us as elected officials should be wanting to see, because we want money invested in the communities that we serve and the taxpayers that serve our projects and programs. I did have a question. I very much like the language that's stated in here, the importance of utilizing local dollars to support the communities in which those funds are generated. Any services, supplies, or capital procured with local funds will be eligible to receive local preference consideration in the awarding the contract, agreement, or engagement. I do have one question. The thing I have always not quite understood, and maybe with SJCOG we operate differently, capital projects that come in always seem to be given to low bid. And I'm wondering if that is because when I look at the next line about bids are received from two or more bidders, that where everything is equal, that it will go to the local vendor, the local vendor for this, for the area. So I just want to, can anyone address that question? Because at a municipal level, that's what we're often told on capital projects.
I'll have Gracie Orozco, from our Deputy Director of Finance Administration, who led the charge to develop the.
Don't get me wrong, I love this language. I might
Yes.
steal it for our city. So I
Yeah.
just want to find out, though.
She can provide that clarification for you.
Thank you. That was a wonderful question, by the way. The lowest bid is specifically for construction projects. So,
Gracie,
so-
can you move closer to the microphone?
oh, sorry. It's primarily for construction projects, right?
So it's not just any capital improvement project, it's specific to the construction side of it.
Construction.
So not for architectural and engineering services
No.
or anything else like that.
No.
So, for example, work on this building would have been a construction project at some point. But other than that, COG is really not doing the work themselves. on
That
the
is correct.
construction. So that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
That clarifies it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Are there any other items? I would like to piggyback off of what the CEO of Beasley pointed out with item I, 4I, which does specify the amounts that will be shared between 3 agencies. So it's no longer just one agency getting the whole piece of the pie or the majority piece of the pie. So RTD is 9.2 million, City of Lathrop will 3.2 million, and SJRRC ACE 9.2 million for them. So I appreciate that the different groups are working together, because when one of us wins, we all win. And so we need to be very cognizant of being fair with the agencies, because we don't want anybody to falter. We want to make sure that we're supporting everyone. So I just wanted to point that out. Were there anything else? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. Grab your handy dandy voter remote controls.
Board members, please cast your votes. All votes are in. Motion carries.
Wonderful. 12-0. Okay, now we are moving on then to the next part of our meeting, where we are under action items. 5A, public hearing for comments on the 2026 Regional Transportation Plan Sustainable Community Strategy Draft Document. I declare the public hearing open.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the public and members of the board. My name is Edith Fickling, Senior Planner here with COG. And you may recall seeing me give you updates throughout these last 2 years on the development of the RTP. So we are almost towards the end of the project. But before we get there, I do want to give a brief summary of what the RTP is. So the Regional Transportation Plan Sustainable Community Strategy, or RTP-SCS, and next slide, is your long-range transportation planning document. So similar to your general plans, this is what we use as long-range to plan all the transportation investments in the region. So this is guided by both federal and state mandates. And part of that is that it is updated every 4 years. It carries a 20-year planning horizon, and it does need to meet clean air standards and reduce emissions in the region. There's more information on the development of the plan and the document in the staff report, but I'm also happy to answer any questions if there's any. And next slide. I mentioned we've been working on this for about 2 years. So we are ready to release the draft document. It actually released on the 12th, and that is for its 55-day public review and comment period. 10 days following, which was the 22nd, we released the environmental impact report for its 45-day comment period. And in a few weeks, we will release the Federal Transportation Improvement Plan, and that's the FTIP, for its 30-day comment review period. Part of that review period will be 2 public hearings. The first public hearing being today. The second public hearing will be at the Executive Committee meeting in July. And next slide. We did provide flyers in both English and Spanish and provide some advertising for the public hearing. So during this time, we will accept comments and we'll respond to all of the comments that will be included as part of the final plan. The final plan, along with the comments, will be brought to you in August for your consideration to adopt. And with that, I ask that we open the public hearing for comments.
Are there any public comments on this item? Any questions from the board? Seeing none, close the public hearing.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 5B, a public hearing for the Measure K renewal ordinance and expenditure plan amendment process for the fiscal year 2025-2026. I declare the public hearing open.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, members of the board. We are reaching the final steps in our annual amendment process for the Measure K ordinance and expenditure plan. You may recall in February, we brought an item to you to announce the opening of the process and to solicit amendments from any interested parties. We did not receive any requests prior to the March 27th, 2026 deadline. Per the ordinance, we are required to have a public hearing as a part of this process. So today we are asking that you open the public hearing, and after hearing any comments and closing the public hearing, we are asking you to approve by roll call vote to close the process for this fiscal year. We will reopen the process next fiscal year in January or February of 2027. I'd be happy to take any questions prior to opening the hearing.
Are there any questions from the board?
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to get a deadline for the next update. So it was March 27, 2026. So the deadline for next year would be equivalent March 2027?
Yes, it would be the last Friday in March of
Last Friday.
2027.
Okay, and do the municipalities receive a notice of that?
Yeah.
How far out from that March date?
So when we take the item through the board, it also goes to all of the committees,
Okay.
so they're notified at the committee meetings.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any public comment? Okay. I declare the public hearing closed, and I will look for, oh, we're doing roll call. Do we need a motion, or we just go straight to roll call? We need a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, now we'll do the roll call.
Mayor Arcangel. Mayor Ariola.
Yes.
Councilmember Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Supervisor Dollywall.
Yes.
Supervisor Dean. Councilmember Enriquez.
Yes.
Mayor Fugazi.
Yes.
Councilmember Ponce.
Yes.
Supervisor Rickman.
Yes.
Mayor Singh.
Yes.
Councilmember Stroman.
Yes.
Mayor Sue.
Yes.
Councilmember Zuber.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Wonderful. Moving on then to agenda item 5C. Right, 5C. This is a public hearing for Redeeming Way Woodbridge Preserve dedication. I declare the public hearing open.
Thank you. Tonight, as required, we do have public hearings for any acquisitions and dedications. So this is the second public hearing on this item. The first occurred earlier in the month at the HTAC meeting. This is a dedication for a developer for the Redeeming Way Woodbridge subdivision. As you see on the map, it is at the north side of Woodbridge Road at the very edge of Woodbridge Community along the Riverway. It is in the central zone, and it would be mitigation for impacts that the subdivision will have for agricultural habitat under the habitat plan. In addition to it, the 16.72 acres that'll be dedicated, there's a possibility of picking up the extra 24.28 acres from the landowner in a acquisition by the habitat plan at the same time to bolster the preserve at that site. So this was noticed out in May, 30 days prior to any action by the board, and the first public hearing did occur earlier this month. So this is the second. We're looking at 59 West Woodbridge Road, Woodbridge, California, 0150202 and 0150257, with Redeeming Way LLC as the vendor and owner. Again, in lieu fees and also not to exceed $17,868 per acre if purchased. So we are looking at either getting a dedication of just 16 acres, or we will buy an additional 24 with this to make it a complete 50-acre preserve for agriculture. And if it does come through, it'll be brought back at a later date for approval for the dedication and acquisition with the preserve management plan. So we can ask, is there any questions that the board has, and take public comment on this?
Any questions from the board? Yes, go ahead, Mayor Kinjo.
Well, it's always the same question.
Understandable?
But this time, frame in a different way.
Okay.
This will affect at least 3 and the preserved areas. Is it true that there's no hunting, no fishing, no road as construction in these areas?
Within the conservation easement boundaries that'll be set by legal description, there will be no commercial hunting, fishing, or other activities that are commercial, but the landowner does have the right to have recreational, so they can hunt on their own as a recreational activity, invite people out recreational-wise. It just cannot be a commercial. And there would be restrictions on improvements such as roadways. It would be depicted on what the existing roadways are allowed, and they can maintain those, but new roadways would not be allowed to be cut into it, which would be with gravel or cement. You know, if it's a farm road and there's an ag road, that's something that is workable as long as it's part of the agricultural activity.
How do you define commercial in this sense?
Commercial will be anything they sell. If they're selling hunting rights or having people come out and pay to hunt, that's commercial. And that becomes a business which is not allowed. Recreational, they can invite friends and pheasant hunt or dove hunt, other things like that. Those are allowed under our conservation easements for the landowner as recreational activity.
Thank you, sir.
Any public comment? No? Okay. Thank you. Declare the public hearing closed. 5D, still standing there?
Back
So,
again.
Public hearing for the, is it Perea?
Perea Delta Avenue. yes,
Delta Avenue Preserve acquisition. Public hearing's open.
Again, it's a requirement to have under the plan for all acquisitions. This is along Delta Avenue in the Old River Paradise Cut area. As you see on the map, it's a saturated area that we have a lot of conservation easements within for agriculture, so this one fits well. It is, again, in the central zone of the plan to mitigate for impacts for row and field crop by development under the plan. This was noticed out in May of 2026 to the surrounding landowners, as well as in the regional paper for these 2 public hearings. The first occurred earlier this month, and this is the second. We are talking about Delta Avenue. There's no actual physical address on this property, so it's just Delta Avenue. The APN is 213-149 and 50. John Pereira is the landowner, and it is not to exceed $8,700 per acre. We're assuming about a 40 to 44 acre habitat easement on this property, and the preserve management plan, if it is approved, we brought back, and it'll accommodate the others in that area for economy of scale. There will be no enhancements really planned on this property as it's straight agriculture within that area. So with that, we can take any questions from the board and from public.
Do we have any questions from the board? No. I do just want to point out, it's nearly a $10,000 per acre difference between the previous one and this one. Is it because this one's going to be straight ag?
This one is straight ag, and it's in an area where vineyards are not typical. The other property actually is bottomland of a vineyard that is going to be taken out of vineyard. But also, if we do acquire it, it's priced that we may restore the entire property. So we're actually buying most of that, most of the agricultural right and of the rights as well.
Wonderful, thank you. Declare the public hearing closed. Next item, public hearing for the Tiago Cedar Avenue Preservation Acquisition. Public hearing's open.
Thank you again. Again, it's a requirement for our plan to have the public hearings. This is the second. We're looking at Tiago Cedar Avenue, again in the Old River Paradise Cut area, very close to the one we just talked about. This would be row and field crop conservation easement for impacts under the central zone and the habitat plan. And this property is, again, going to be noticed out. It was in May. The property we're talking about is 20250 Cedar Avenue, Tracy, California. APN is 213-260-34 and 35. Lori Tiago and Joseph Tiago are the landowners, and this is not to exceed $8,550 per acre. And again, this is a straightforward row and field crop agricultural easement. There will be some minor enhancements on this property because it does have some ditch systems that we could work with, and the landowner is interested in doing some improvements on those for enhancements for species. And if it does come back, it'll bring a preserve management plan written similar to those of the adjacent properties for economy of scale and monitoring and long-term management. With that, I can take questions from the board or public.
Seeing no questions, any public comment? Public hearing is now closed. Moving on then to 5F, approval of San Joaquin Regional Housing Fund Round 1 funding recommendations.
Good evening, Chair, and thank you very much. So we are here this evening in your capacity as the board of the San Joaquin Regional Housing Fund Incorporated. I'd like to acknowledge the Housing Fund staff that are here this evening, Joanne Martinez and Christine Corrales. And I'd like to introduce Dima Galkin as the lead staff for our professional fund manager from Harris and Associates. It even worked tonight. Look at that. So it has been a month of firsts for SJCOG, and SJCOG staff and the consultant team are beyond pleased to bring you this first. The first ever funding recommendations for the San Joaquin Regional Housing Fund. So tonight, we are asking you to approve these recommendations, and in the next few slides, I'll be telling you about tonight's requested action. I'll introduce the recommended projects, and I will chart a few of our next steps. So this slide is in your packet as well, but this slide shows our timeline from the inception of the project pipeline from which our recommended projects are drawn in September of 2022, as we prepared to apply for the Local Housing Trust Fund grant from Housing and, I'm sorry, I almost said HUD, Housing and Community Development state funding pot. But the work had started many, many years before that. And in fact, our current ED was a deputy in those days, and our planning manager was an intern, and I myself might have been a little bit younger as well. All this was accomplished with the steady support of this board and, of course, from previous boards. So our initial goal was simple: to help the San Joaquin region help itself, much like we've done with our successful Measure K half-cent sales tax measure. We heard over and over again from affordable housing developers and other experts that capital attracts capital. So we get more attention from a variety of funders when we can show success in funding projects ourselves. So with a head start from the Regional Early Action Program from the state, staff was able to establish the Regional Housing Fund, and this board's this board's initial commitment of funding through the Smart Growth Incentive Program eventually turned into $12.6 million that we are asking you to put on a combination of projects tonight using state, philanthropic, and the local matching funds. A combination of fund goals and the requirements of funders became the 5 criteria that I'm about to show you for the board-approved scoring rubric for the first round of funding. First, a priority to new rental construction to add needed units to the housing stock. Secondly was project readiness. Was the project ready to proceed? And more importantly, is it ready to go to construction in the next 12 months? Thirdly, we looked at affordability, and this scoring criteria looked at both the number and the percentage of extremely low-income units that were included in each project. Efficient use of funds. We want to make our funds go as far as possible. So this included what the funding request per affordable unit, and this would be the funds from the housing fund. This did not look at total cost per unit. It looked at what were the developers asking of the housing fund. And then last was wide geographic distribution. So points were given to the highest scoring project in each of the jurisdictions so we could achieve wide geographic equity. So next, I want to just say, sometimes in the process of doing our everyday jobs and the sometimes slow incremental process that we can make, it's easy to lose sight of the collective impact of those seemingly small decisions that were made along the way. So I want to just stop for a moment and recognize the regional impact of these proposed investments for the San Joaquin region. And just to say that your action today is going to make a true difference in the region for 421 individual households, $11.85 million in total awards across 4 projects that will be funded at their full ask of the housing fund, and with an average of 30% of those units, or 128 homes for extremely low-income individuals. And this is across a wide range of populations, including families, farm workers, seniors, and those experiencing homelessness. So now the fun part, now the projects. So the first ranked project for tonight's recommendation is in the city of Manteca.
Excuse me, Kim. We have a question for Mayor Akinjo.
Oh, yes, of course.
Don't want to lose my train of thoughts. You keep on alluding to developers ask. What is that? And would they ask for anything they want? Do they have free range, or it's not too clear. If developer asks for something
Right.
that is beyond our criteria, then what do we do?
So there was a cap on each individual ask for the developer. There was a cap of $3 million. And that would be across all of the fund sources. And you'll see that as I start to go through the projects, and I'm happy to take other questions about the projects. But for instance, this first project is the Airport Way Apartments in the city of Manteca. This project brings 214 affordable homes, with 66 of those homes restricted to extremely low-income residents. You can see the total project cost at $86 million, and the request of the Housing Fund is $2.85 million for this. And this comes in the form of low-interest gap financing for the project. The second-ranked project in another of our jurisdictions in the city of Tracy will construct 45 affordable homes near the downtown transit center in the area affectionately referred to as the Bow Tie. 6 of these homes are reserved for extremely low-income residents with a total project cost of $44.4 million. The ask of the Housing Fund was $3 million. So projects 3 and 4 are next. The third ranked project is in the city of Lodi and is known as Lodi Commons at Salis Park. Its total project cost is $31.1 million. And again, its ask of the Housing Fund was $3 million. This project will construct 108 affordable homes with 29 reserved for extremely low-income residents at a total cost. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. I got ahead of myself. Let's see if I can read what's actually on the slide for you. So this project is 54 affordable homes with 27 of them extremely low-income units.
We have another question from Mayor Kinjo.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm getting a little bit uneasy about the extreme low income. Extreme low income. I don't think this, as far as I'm concerned, maybe this is local, but if there's any national influence on this money, then the extreme low income might be considered, reconsidered. Because that language of extreme low income is not something the federal is really comfortable with.
If I understand your question, you're asking me if federal funding is going to be available for these projects, considering the extremely low income portion of the units. Is that right? Yes, several of these projects have already applied to some of the federal funding programs. So I cannot answer directly as far as direction for the federal policy for funding, but I do know that there is still money available. And very often the money is reserved for either extremely low or very low income individuals.
But they are not making any, it's not a hidden agenda for them. It's an open agenda. That there are some language that we don't want as a federal agency, that if you want us to fund anything or you take our money on the federal, from the federal level, there are some languages that they don't just not ready to accept. And one of them is this extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Low income, maybe yes, but when you start to put extreme, average, and all those things there that kind of target a particular area, and they would rather like it to be open for everybody than the targeted area that we want. I'm just letting you know, and just feel uneasy on those kind of languages, since we know exactly where they stand.
Well, I think you need to look at the funding source, and the funding source is the Local Housing Trust Fund Grant, SJCOG Local Match, and HealthNet Grant Award. So this is a fund that was established here specifically for projects within San Joaquin County, and it doesn't have necessarily the strings of the federal government attached to them, correct?
That's a very good summarization. Yes, while these projects are pursuing other funding sources at various federal and state and local fund sources, even some of the cities, but we do take into consideration, and I appreciate the comments. I will go to the fourth and last project in the primary funding recommendation. This is the Don Shalvey Apartments here in the city of Stockton. Features 110 affordable units with 29 of them, again, on the extremely low income. And that has to do with how much the residents can make and qualify to live in the apartment complex. So in asking for your action today, staff is also asking the board to approve 3 alternate projects as well, which I will briefly describe on the next slides. So the alternate projects, we're asking to approve 3. There were a total of 9 projects that were scored. 4 we've already talked about that will be funded at their full funding ask, and then these 3 alternate projects. The first of these projects, well, before I go that, let me talk about the collective impact, just one moment. There's 12.13 million in total ask. Obviously, we don't have the money to fund these projects at full ask currently. There'd be 209 total affordable homes across the 3 developments and 31 in that extremely low income category. The first of these is in the city of Escalon. This was the smallest project that applied, and it did score relatively well. The total project cost for this project is $3.7 million, and as is stated on the slide, the ask was $1.24 million. It's a total of 18 units. It features 6 affordable homes in the project, and the remaining units are capped at a moderate income level for this project. A2, or the second alternate project, is Casa de Mariposa in the city of Stockton. This one is 71 homes with 10 for the low-income households, and a total project cost of $43.6 million and a funding ask of $5 million of the Housing Fund. And the third project, also a Stockton project, the view at Channel, which is very close to where we're sitting tonight, about 7 blocks away from us. It features 71 affordable homes, total project cost at $43.6 million, and request of the Housing Fund at $5 million. Okay, and as you can see, we had a good problem. We had more great projects than we had funds for. So being
I have a
able,
quick question. Sorry for the
of course,
interruption.
please.
Councilman Stroman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Kim.
Good evening.
Can you please elaborate, as you made a comment that Countrywood Cottages scored relatively low. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I'm sorry, what I intended to say was they scored relatively well. I apologize. No, they did score relatively well. They came in as the 5th ranked project. And in fact, I would go down this slide to say that we are also recommending that the $750,000 that was not assigned to one of the first 4 projects be offered to these 3 contingency or alternate projects in the order that they were ranked, with Countrywood being the first of those projects.
Well, with all due respect to the cities of Manteca, Tracy, Lodi, and Stockton, obviously my number 1 concern is the city of Escalon. Can you elaborate more as far as, I don't know what the scoring criteria was, but I'm kind of curious what led to Countrywood Cottages placing as the top alternate. So can you give me a brief explanation on that?
Sure, I can. There were a couple of the categories where this project did not score as well as some of the others. It actually is ready to go. So on 3 of the 5 criteria, they scored well, taking full points. On the two criteria where they lost a few points would have been in the efficient use of funds. So the way that metric worked, it was on the total ask divided by the number of affordable homes. So in the case of that project, it would have been the total ask of 1.24 million divided by the 6 affordable homes. And so on that dimension, the ask of the fund was higher than any of the other projects that were considered for funding. The other had to do with the number and percentage of extremely low income households. It had 6 units, encompassing, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 30% of the total units. And so it lost a few points in that funding category. So it did not lose a lot of points, but because it was an extremely competitive funding round with the other projects, it did place 5th in the actual rankings.
Thank you. And for my fellow board members, I would just like to state publicly that we have a unique situation in Escalon, unlike all my other fellow cities, that I would say the desire for affordable housing really affects one particular demographic, and that is our senior community. There is an incredible need for affordable and extremely affordable housing for our seniors within the city of Escalon. Many of our senior residents want to downsize, but the problem is there's no place to go. And I'm sure we're experiencing that throughout the state of California. I appreciate what you've done on this project, but I would just really ask my fellow board members to really consider, instead of holding the remaining $750,000 in a reserve, that the $750,000 truly be considered to the alternate, because this has a true impact to our senior community. And I think this award would be a huge benefit, in particular for our seniors. So thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to reiterate, this is not a value judgment of the value of all of these projects. We truly did have 9 extremely important and valuable projects. This had to do with our funding sources and some of the requirements that are put on those funding sources. You know, I will say with this slide, should the contingency projects be unable to utilize the funds, it would first be offered to Countrywood in the city of Escalon, and this is the second part of our recommendation this evening. It would then be offered to the next project and to the next project, and then be held in reserve. But in holding it in reserve, there's always the happy event that additional funding may become available to the fund. And so there's another part of this recommendation that I'm going to talk about that could also affect the ability of projects to take in funding. I will say, of note, when making this recommendation, while the Housing Fund Advisory Committee agreed with the staff recommendation to approve the 4 primary projects and the 3 alternates, for the second part of their recommendation, the committee provided input to staff that they would like to see the $750,000 in unassigned funding to be held as contingency should the 4 primary projects require additional funds as needed for unforeseen circumstances. As you know, in these complicated development projects, things can happen. But as I noted, the staff recommendation is to first try to fund the alternate projects, at least partially. And then staff is also recommending that the current list of contingency projects be utilized again in the happy circumstance that we have additional funding available over the next year, during which time the 4 primary recommended projects are expected to have gone to construction already. So that part of that recommendation would be to hold this list for 12 months. And staff has been active in looking for additional funding. And I will say, with a successful funding recommendation, it could garner us some additional attention. You know, there have been, certainly people have taken notice that one of the counties in the valley is stepping up in order to fund some of these affordable projects.
Councilman Stroman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for my own clarification, Kim, was the LHTF grant and the HealthNet grant award, were those one-time grants?
They were indeed one-time grants. The Local Housing Trust Fund was a state program that went over, I think it was 5 funding rounds, and it was not funded again. So we are getting in, or we did get in on the last funding round for that grant. The state has some interest in funding projects, and there have been various efforts to try to get additional state funding available. But I will say that state grant is the one that is the most restrictive as far as their funding requirements.
Without belaboring the conversation, I would just say that thank you to you and thank you to the board for really formalizing the SJRHF. You know, we all face many, many challenges for affordable housing and from the state of California. So thank you to you and the board for actually putting the money where the mouth is and actually trying to help our residents.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, may I make some remarks? Thank you, Kim. If you can stay there. I wanted to kind of close out the staff recommendation. It's getting a little complex. I want to take it step by step. The first thing is this is the big major action of the Regional Housing Trust Fund Board. From here, we started with a $5 million seed money of Measure K, able to secure that $5 million grant from the state, got $10 million, and then HealthNet, philanthropic organization, came forward and said, here's another $3 million for the pot. So that's what we're looking at, 13 and some change million total. The first recommendation is to take that money and go to the top 4 ranked projects. Kim, can you show that table? So with that recommendation, which was supported by the Housing Trust Fund Advisory Committee, that left a balance. These are the 4 top ranked projects, not the alternates.
Yep, just takes a minute to get back there.
Should the board approve staff recommendation 1 to approve the top 4 ranked projects, and they would be funded at their ask. Fancy way of saying what they asked for, they are going to get in full per our process. So that's recommendation 1, to fund the 4 top ranked projects. Following recommendation 1 is recommendation 2. Funding, assuming the funding of the 4 top ranked projects. This leaves a balance of funding from the $13 million. It leaves us with $750,000. There are projects below the line. We're calling them the alternate projects. And the alternate projects are also ranked 5, 6, 7, etc. And of the alternate projects, staff is recommending in this second part to not put the $750,000 in a holding spot, but to use it. And the way staff is recommending the use of the $750,000 is to go to the first ranked alternate project, project number 5, which is the project in the City of Escalon. $750,000 will not make any of these alternate projects whole with their ask. So our recommendation is just to go in the order of the alternate projects and say, we have $750,000 left. Can you use it? Do you want to use it? And the first one we would ask per this secondary recommendation would be the Escalon project. If they say, yes, we can use it, then the process stops there, and that project would get the $750,000. If that applicant says, no, that's not enough, we needed more, and that's not going to help us, then we'll go to the next, the number 6 ranked projects, and ask the same thing until what we expect until that process is exhausted and someone takes those dollars. The advisory committee, however, had a different take on that recommendation. They advise, don't do that. Just hold the funds in reserve and have the Regional Housing Trust Fund Board wait for other funds to come through and then do another call for projects. I do want to highlight, we don't know if we're able to get other funds. I speak with Kim a lot on this. She's very optimistic that the successes we have achieved in this first round is getting attention from the philanthropic community and others. And Kim's optimism often works out, and there may be a second round. We don't know that. So that's why staff has recommended the approach of utilizing that $750,000 in the order till it's exhausted for the alternate projects. But wait, there is one last recommendation, and that's the third recommendation, recognizing that no one in the alternate projects will be made whole. And should money get realized into this Regional Housing Trust Fund pot, that we shortlist those alternate projects and give them first right of refusal to their full ask in their order of their rank, should funding appear. And the advantage of doing that is it capitalizes on a list that's already been ranked through the process, and it moves funds that become available, it gets them to work immediately, and it makes whole what we believe are very strong projects that have been submitted in this round that didn't get funding. Do I have that correct, Kim?
Yes.
So those are the three recommendations. Number one, program the top 4 ranked projects. Number 2, staff's recommendation to take the 750 and ask in that order. And 3, should future funding come around, the shortlist would be in the order, first right of refusal, the monies until they are made whole. Got it?
Is
All
there an
right.
expiration on the funding?
The expiration on the funding is quite long. However, what staff has recommended is that they be given a year, 12 months to move and get the project into construction with the possibility of an extension should it be required. We have done quite a bit of due diligence already. Our fund manager has been doing this all along. And as part of the continued due diligence, we will put this information into the agreements that the developers would be signing with the housing fund. So should a project, for whatever reason, not get into construction within the 12 months, we would be coming back to the board.
Can you define construction for me? Is that a shovel in the ground?
Closing of financing and a shovel in the ground.
Okay, so
Yes.
if somebody doesn't have a shovel in the ground in that 12 months, then it could then go down the line on the list? I see people nodding their heads.
Yeah, if in fact the board decided not to extend the time, we would be finding out, what is it, where did the project get stuck? And if they're making, as with other funding sources that SJCOG has, sometimes it's just a matter of, a little bit of extra
Some
time.
of these are rather large.
They
very
are.
large projects with pretty high cost to the project. So that's why I'm asking that, because oftentimes when we have pass-through funds through the federal government and we allocate them, and then it becomes that the money wasn't spent and we could have funded X, Y, and Z,
Right.
and we left money on the table, it's really hard pill to swallow for that. So, but I'll defer. Councilman Stroman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Diane, just a clarification question. So in this, actually 2 questions. One is in the staff recommendation, if the Countrywood Cottages is offered $750,000 and through Kim's hard work, additional funding is determined, would the remaining balance of
Yes.
500, 400 and some odd thousand then be applied to Countrywood Cottages? Or would that next round of funding, would the next one go to Casa de Mariposa?
The first part, Countrywood Cottage would get the first right of refusal of any funding until their full ask is met, and then we'll go down to the next project.
The only caveat I would say, of course, it would be subject to whatever strings come attached to the funding, but yes.
Ignore my second question, Madam Chair.
Councilwoman Hensley.
Thank you. On that topic, but I want to go back first and say that senior and veterans housing is the most critical need for almost all communities. So we are all, and appreciate the fact you're dealing with the thing we are dealing with. Lots of good senior housing is going up, but it's luxury senior housing. And we are dealing with that ability to retire in place, to basically downsize and have an affordable home. So I can appreciate where you're coming from. And that is what our SALIS project is, senior and veteran housing. So we have not had affordable housing built, multi-unit, in our city for decades. So this is critical for our city to be able to have the partnership to get this project done. And again, thank you very much for creating and funding this trust fund to do it. I did have a question, and I think it's kind of been clarified for me, but I think you stated it appropriately, and it's in the staff report, that those funds will only be distributed when developers have secured all other necessary funding. And I think that's going to be an essential question for the Countrywood Cottages, because do they have all the funding they need within the next year, or do they anticipate receiving all that funding? Because if they are delta, if there is a short amount because of 750, they may make due diligence to meet that, and that would be terrific if they could. But part of that kind of comes down to, I don't know what the total project cost is for that project and how much they have raised to this date for that project.
My understanding of that project, and Dima can come up and fill in anything that I don't quite get, but it was 3.8 something, I want to say, was the total project cost. So it's relatively speaking, it's a lower cost project. And the 1.24 or I think it was 1.24 is what they're looking for. My understanding is that the project has secured its other funding sources.
Okay. So it's potentially just that delta between the project cost and what we could provide. They may be able to get that within the next year. That's what they're hoping for. Okay.
Yes.
That's
yeah.
extremely, that's very helpful, because what I think is wonderful about this is that at least in the 4 first projects, there's $149 million, of which we're leveraging only 12.6. So we have a role to play in what are some significant housing projects in this area, and just a great opportunity to have those funds go to work to meet that last match that may be needed. So I do have, oh, and one other question. Was one of the criteria the RENA numbers? Did all of these communities have housing element updates and identify their, extremely low mod, so forth, numbers they needed?
Yes, all of the cities in San Joaquin County have at least submitted their new housing elements. I believe some are still in the back and forth period with HCD as far as having the housing element certified. But I do believe that's a criteria for the funding coming out of HCD. Probably not a surprise.
And as much as I appreciate the fact that likely all of these projects at some point may hit an obstacle and may need the additional funds, I think the reality is that Escalon needs this housing, and I would be supportive of those funds moving forward to that first request, thinking that they perhaps can meet that smaller amount of money needed. If they say they can do it, then they got a year to do it. So I appreciate that, and we may not have that next round. So if that works, great. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments. And I will point out that the housing fund, the San Joaquin Regional Housing Fund, set out to be the final piece, the gap financing. And so we have received information on all the uses and sources of funds for each of these projects.
Thank you. And that brings up an interesting question, because should one of these projects that's in the green not spend their money or able to get it done, let's just say one of them with 3 million, but would that then first right of refusal go back to the 5th project, even though we're giving them 750 to close that gap and give them the full 12, 1.24?
That is in the intent, yes.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be. Is there any public comment on this? Okay, so I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
I would move to adopt the, who did?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Yeah, but you need to clarify what you're moving, because what the recommendation is different than what you want.
Okay, so my motion is to approve the 11.85 million for the 4 recommended projects, and the remaining fund balance of $1,000 be offered to Countrywood Cottages, and if they have the first right of refusal, and then it would go to alternate 2 and alternate number 3, followed by if additional funding is obtained, then the remaining funds will be applied to alternates 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you, council member.
Perfect. Thank you. That's what I wanted
Second.
to hear. We have a motion and a second. Board, please vote. Oh, are you ready?
Please cast your votes.
It's over in front of you. Just press the button. No, up by Kim.
Go press on your name.
All votes are in. Motion carries.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yes, okay. Moving on to 5G, appoint San Joaquin County Council of Governments Board Chair and Vice Chair positions for the term starting July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027.
I'll queue up the item, Madam Chair. It's the end of the fiscal year. First, I want to say on behalf of the staff, thank you for your leadership this fiscal year, Chair Fugazi. Now it's time to vote for the incoming next fiscal year. The COG bylaws require that at the June meeting, the board identifies the next chair and vice chair. The bylaws also identify that the elected chair is automatically the chair of COG's executive committee. So those are memorialized in the bylaws. What's not in the bylaws, but our process, which is not policy, it's just our general process that this board can consider, is that the executive committee makes a recommendation to this board for the incoming chair and vice chair, and the executive committee considers a rotation process that has been the tradition here at SJCOG. And that's what the executive committee did. The executive committee used a rotation process and has recommended that Vice Chair Mayor Gary Singh move into the chair position for next fiscal year. And according to the rotation process, that means the vice chair seat would be a county supervisor. And the executive committee recommended Supervisor Robert Rickman to serve in that seat. These are recommendations for the board. Ultimately, this is a COG board decision. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. I think he's aiming for a job when he's done with being a supervisor. Here. Yes. Okay. Any questions from the board? Public? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote. I'm pressing red.
It's still up here.
Pressing red.
Just a protest vote, huh?
All votes are in. Motion carries with one abstain from Mayor Singh.
Okay, yes, motion carries. Congratulations.
Do you have a conflict there?
Okay, moving then to 7A, our last open session agenda item, draft 2027 federal transportation improvement program schedule. That is informational only. Hopefully you read all about it. Otherwise, we will move on then to our closed session. Let me find my little notes here.
No, you've got chair
Oh,
report.
darn it,
board
I just
members
wanted to-
report.
We have an event.
Get on it right.
Okay, chair report. Okay, so that's me. I will say that I really enjoyed being on 99, the 99-120 connector project completion, phase 1. I mean, what a win for SJCOG, what a win for you know, Manteca, Ripon, the people I spoke to at that event. I spoke to a mother, and with her small kids, she had 2 little girls and a baby, and she was just saying, this makes it so much easier for me to take them to school to get over the 99 there, as well as farmers being able to get from one side to the other, as well as everybody else that doesn't want to be caught in a traffic jam on surface streets, especially in Ripon. And nobody wants to be in Ripon very long. So, you know, that they want them out. Yes. Maybe Rickman can come down and give tickets. I don't know.
That's
Anyway, it was a great event. I was surprised at the number of people that showed up. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised. And Mayor Singh didn't get a sandwich, so he tried to grab mine. But I know there were extra cupcakes left over. But anyway, having the congressman show up definitely was I think a feather in our cap, because, you know, he's instrumental in helping us get the funds so that we can do projects like this. And I'm looking forward to us being able to jump into phase 2 and a 3. And with that, other than I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be chair of this board. It has been an absolute pleasure to serve with my colleagues here. I sit on several other boards with members up here, and I would say that this is a first-rate class act board that I'm proud of being a part of, and I look forward to the future. And Mayor Singh carrying the torch and saying nice things to everybody.
Yes,
Yes. Doing videos. We want more videos.
Diane's ready.
Yes. So anyway, so I will conclude with that. Thank you so much. And we will then, are there any board members that have anything to report?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I'm going to start with my Lodi hat first. Some of you said when I came in, you heard about it. Lodi has been awarded America's favorite small town in the West. So we will be celebrating that over the next year, starting with our 4th of July event out at Lodi Lake, which we're having this year because we have fireworks. And so we're very excited. So it's going to be a great opportunity for us to build on that, particularly with our wine industry being one of the reasons that we were recognized. So we'll build on that. I'm going to now put my San Joaquin Regional Rail Commission hat on and report a few things that I think are of interest. We started with an award recognition. I would just point out on May 13th that the Rail Commission was awarded the 2026 California Transportation Foundation Structure Project of the Year Award for the Lathrop Y Box Culvert Project. So a terrific engineering feat for completing that Valley Rail program. Plays a critical role in expanding regional rail connectivity through Northern California and the Bay Area. Another item I think would be of interest, particularly those who have taken the ACE special trains. They are going to the World Cup. We have had the special train service for the FIFA World Cup matches at Levi Stadium. They've been operating for both the Qatar versus Switzerland and the June 13th Turkey versus Paraguay on June 19th. And it will operate for round 32 on July 1, which should be very exciting for us because it's been confirmed that the United States will play its first elimination round game at Levi Stadium. So didn't think we'd have this opportunity, but exciting, we do now have that opportunity. And lastly, talking about ribbon cuttings, Rail Commission will celebrate along with SJCOG the completion of the East Channel Street Streetscape and Connectivity Project with a ribbon cutting on July 9th at 11 a.m. I hope a number of you are able to attend that at the Robert Cabral Station in downtown Stockton. And again, it was with SJCOG and the City of Stockton playing important key funding roles along with the Rail Commission. So hope to see you all there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Stroman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have anything to report, but just a comment and a huge note of thanks to.
Wait until he's chair.
You might be, yeah, you might be the vice chair, Supervisor Rickman, but please let me finish. Some people's kids, I'll tell you. No, I wanted to get, this is the first meeting that I've had an opportunity to attend. since the One Voice trip, and as a One Voice rookie, I really want to say thank you, a huge thank you to Diane and to Kim, and to Joelle and Vanessa and the rest of the SJCOG team. I know you guys worked your tails off. It was very evident on how organized the entire trip was from start to finish. And you guys did an incredible job. And thank you. It was a wonderful experience, and I hope to have the opportunity to go next year. So it's my only comment. And to the rest of my board members, it was a pleasure attending those events with you, minus Supervisor Rick.
We should stick around. Okay, with that, we will then move on to the ex officio board members report. So we'll start off with Port of Stockton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quick update from the port. So we were recently recertified in the Green Marine Environmental Program for the maritime industry. And this is a voluntary initiative that we do to continue to help us improve our environmental performance beyond regulations. And just a note, the Port of Stockton was the second port in the state to receive initial certification. Also, we have construction of the 650,000 square foot Home Depot distribution center. It's on track and expected to be completed in September. We also recently just had our annual golf tournament. We raised $43,000, which is close to $20,000 more than we raised last year. This goes to support the Boggs Track community, including the elementary school, wish list, and the edible schoolyard. And lastly, the port's really working right now to try to diversify cargo and support emerging energy markets. We're looking at areas that include renewable fuel feedstocks, biomass products, and other bulk commodities that align with California's evolving energy. And lastly, we are continuing to explore the shipbuilding initiative with a number of potential partners.
You still have 4.5 minutes. Are you sure? Okay. I know we got this great Caltrans report because it's usually shorter, but go ahead, Caleb.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Filling in for Grace Mexau, who's at the CTC meeting today. A couple of quick announcements. So last month at the CTC meeting, there was $540 million allocated to transportation investments. There was one project within San Joaquin County. It's got $1.3 million for support costs for State Route 4 and Jacktone Road intersection improvement project. So the funding will be used for planning and implementation of a roundabout intersection to increase safety and improve mobility. Construction is anticipated to start in 2029. Last month, Caltrans announced the 26-27 Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant Awards. We had the 170 applications requesting approximately $74 million. It was the biggest ask we had in the grant program history. Unfortunately, there's only $23.5 million available for funding. So we had 58 projects approved. We had 4 of our District 10 partners were awarded: City of Jackson and Amador County, TCTC of Tuolumne County, City of Waterford and Stanislaus, as well as MCAG. And we're going to be working with the applicants that were not awarded to better their chances on the next go round of funding. The call for applications is scheduled mid-August, and then the applications will be due in October. And I'll be bringing more announcements as those days get closer. I do want to give kudos to the San Joaquin COG team. The Federal Highway Administration has unconditionally approved the fiscal year 26-27 OWP. And one funding opportunity is with the Federal Transit Administration. They have reissued its call for applications under its fiscal year 26 pilot program for transit-oriented development. Currently, there's $28.5 million available. The funding deadline is July 10th. And then lastly, just want to congratulate on the ribbon cutting for the State Route 99 120 connector project. It was a fantastic event. It was great to see all of the San Joaquin COG team as well as elected officials there, and Caltrans is just continuing to look for the continued partnership and projects in San Joaquin County. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Executive Director's report.
Just a quick comment for the Highway 9.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead, Mayor Kinjo.
Sorry about that, Madam CEO. Thank you, Mr. Caleb, for your support. But I'm not where, Lathrop is not where Lathrop's supposed to be. The relationship is building, and I really don't know how else to phrase this, that it needs improvement. Some of these two projects that we are working with Caltrans, some was due in 1989 when the city got incorporated, and what has been doing more than since 2010. We need help. This is not a personal request. This is begging on behalf of the resident of Lathrop. If we cannot do I-5 interchange as quickly as possible, at least we can do the traffic signal. And this is very, very important. So I really thank you. You have come there to do some meetings with us. And it's now a begging time. So I'm begging, whatever Caltrans can do to ease the congestion. It's not the city per se, but it's the residents. If the residents are demanding, then we know we have crossed a threshold in the thing. Usually people don't care about many of these things, but we have two retail entities coming to between Louis and Lathrop Road within the next 9 to 10 months. The traffic is not going to be funny. Please help the city of Lathrop, or anybody out there that has direct contact with Caltrans. We need help. We cannot sit and pretend that we don't need help. We do. Please help us. Thank you, sir.
Executive Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. Just wanted to remark again that the Highway 99-120 project is our first ever project where we cut the ribbon on a capital construction project, a huge $50 million project. It's everyone there and everyone here made history for SJCOG in that moment. And I will say it will not be our last project in COG's history. Did want to remark that there are some final finishing punch list things that are happening on the project. The striping on eastbound lanes of 120 and southbound 99 has not occurred. So we're expecting that to happen at the end of this month. And then those travel lanes will be open to the public in early July. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to be breaking into a closed session.